there's always a time to be aggressive. The best people in most industries are aggressive. But there's a timing to that aggression. You can't just be aggressive nonstop, right? There is a time and a place, and through experience, you know when to put the pedal to the metal, get in the fast lane, and sometimes to chill. I think this 2021 was a good example from a stock market perspective. Everyone was investing, and people made some money, but a lot of people weren't selling toward the peak, right? They were investing more, and then it gets cut in half. And a lot of people have lost a shitload of money, and not everyone can afford to just sit on their losses. Like some people, that really, really hurts. And some people that have been in it a long time went like, once I double or triple my money, pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered, I get out, I sit on the sideline. The moment everyone's talking about it, that's where I back off. And I saw Colin today, and I agree with him, that where are you going to find another Kyler Murray? And like homes, things always go up. Now, I would disagree there because I was going to buy a home last year, and I was like, I have a hard time. Something that was $800,000 a year ago is now $1.6 million. This doesn't add up. Listen, could that house be worth $3 million in 2 years? Sure. But I would, historically, if you just look at trends, that's not usually the way it works. And I've been proven right. The last 6 months, things are coming back to earth, especially in the markets I'm looking at. Halted, going down. And that's not the case necessarily with quarterbacks. Contracts always go up. But you don't have to buy. You don't always have to pay for something, especially in a football situation when a guy is under contract. What was the rush in paying him today? And at the time of recording this, the number, we see $160 million. Now, a lot of that's going to be how much new money, the fourth year contract, the fourth year of his contract, the fifth year, which I don't even know what that number is, probably well over $30 million. That is going to be factored in. Who knows? Maybe they'll even factor in the franchise tag. But I just don't understand why we couldn't play this out another year. Like, why did I have to do this right now? Because based on the evidence I have, I go, you've been a very talented player. I have never argued that. His arm strength, he's pretty accurate. He's mobile. He is a fantastic talent. Little, but a fantastic talent. And when he's on, he's exceptional. But I threw this out there on Twitter, and I have a philosophy. When I'm going to pay a premium, and even if the number, let's say, if you're listening to this and the true number is $80 million guaranteed, this still stands. Whether they give him $100 million guaranteed or whether it's actually $160 million. It's a ton of money. And you are committing to him for several more years than you have to. My philosophical belief in pro sports is I want to pay premiums for guys that can handle and thrive and rise to the occasion when shit hits the fan, when things go wrong. Because most guys at the highest level can play really good in all the sports when things are going well. When you're on, a 7-game winning streak in baseball and you have 5 home runs over that period of time. When you're in basketball and your team's won 10 straight games and you're averaging 25 points and everyone's feeling you. When you're a quarterback and you guys go on a 4-game win streak and over those 4 games, you throw 15 touchdowns, you run for a couple more, you're the player of the month. Everyone's on their knees gargling. It's like, oh, yeah. How about when you lose 3 games and your star right tackle tears his ACL and everyone, because you're the star, says, you're playing like shit. How's it going? What are you going to do? How are you going to carry this team? Do you rise to the occasion or do you crumble like a cookie? Do you melt like ice under the 100-degree sun? And I think we've seen, and I've had a front row seat for the 49ers. And last year, shit was hitting the fan. It was weird. Guys were injured. And I watched guys like Nick Bosa and Deebo Samuel become absolute war daddies and play their best football when shit was not going well. Win or lose. They weren't winning all the games, but just laying it on the line. Never pouting, never complaining. And you see it with countless players all around the league that just keep throwing haymakers. I think a great example is Matt Stafford, who last year had a longer body of work than Kyler Murray. But because of his situation, we went, well, how good is he? Plays for Detroit. Can you win with him? Does he have a bunch of bad habits? We know he's talented, physical freak, number 1 overall pick. What's he got? How's he going to handle the pressure? And it was up and down. It was, he had that stretch where he was throwing all those picks, he was turning the ball over. But clearly, internally, and Whitworth hit on this, he never flinched. He handled himself like a pro. He answered the bell every single time. And then, Once they lost that Week 18 game to the 49ers, he had a elite stretch in the playoffs and was awesome. So he handled the rocky tide pretty well. He's out there. It was like, God, is Matt Stafford going to screw this thing up? Are they not going to win the division? What's going on? They end up winning the division. Ton of pressure. How's Matt Stafford going to, for the first time ever, not just making the playoff school, you got to win playoff games. We traded for you to try to win the Super Bowl. And then he's awesome and they win the Super Bowl. It's like, I'd give him an extension too. Longer body of work. I've seen him when the lights are the brightest, handle himself like a pro, handle adversity, and then answer the bell and execute. Because ultimately, I saw Mike Tomlin say this on the Pivot podcast, was like, the business is winning. That's the business we're in. The sport is football, but the business is winning. That's the name of the game here. And we saw Kyler Murray have the most embarrassing playoff game we've ever seen. And then immediately, he demanded to get paid. And he's not the first and he won't be the last guy to demand to get paid. Some guys, though, Dak Prescott, for example. And I've saw a lot of this on social media, that Dak Prescott's contract has aged better. Bullshit. I don't like paying Dak Prescott $40 million. But Dak Prescott, the human being, when times are great, when times are bad, he's very, very even keel. I know exactly what I'm getting. He's not going to pout. He'll give everything he has. He has physical limitations. He does not have the arm Kyler has. But I know that he'll lay it on the line for me. No one will ever go, did Dak mail that shit in? No one will ever say that because we have a long body of evidence that he's never done that. Yet in back-to-back years, the season ended and went like, what was Kyler's deal there? No one's ever argued his arm strength, his speed, his physical attributes. Not a soul. But there's more than that at quarterback. What's Coward's thing? Being quarterbackial? It's like presidential, which I even think like being a politician. Like if you don't think at this point in time they're all kind of frauds, I can't help you. I still think it matters. Like I don't think it matters as a politician. I think it's all bullshit. It matters at quarterback. How you act, how you conduct yourself. Because all the best guys kind of conduct themselves like pros. And let's use an example. Aaron Rodgers. Last year, things got a little weird. Him and Gutekunst, he demanded a trade on draft night. You're like, God, Rodgers is falling off the deep end. Well, what happened? Training camp came, and part of people were like, he just wants to get paid. He didn't get a contract extension. Tabled it, right? Acted like a pro, answered the bell, won the MVP. And his body of work was long. We already know how, future Hall of Famer. Like, it felt like Kyler Murray, NBA style, forced their hand, and they capitulated and they gave in. Now you could argue, well, they're all in on Cliff Kingsbury. You might as well be all in on Kyler. I just think that is not the way to run a franchise. And I'm shorting them. I do not think they're going to make the playoffs this year. You can say, well, they just get him in a better headspace. That's fine. I don't think he's a sustainable player. And maybe I would have been proven wrong. But if I was the Cardinals, I would have let it play out. He's not. Dak Prescott played a season on the franchise tag. And I'm not even saying to get there with Kyler. How about just seeing another season of you acting like a pro, of you improving as a leader, of you leading us to the playoffs, of you maybe trying in a playoff game? I don't know. But that's not how the way the Cardinals handled their business. And you would say historically, under the Bidwell family umbrella, that's why the Cardinals have mostly been pretty shitty. Now, I'm not acting like they're a joke franchise. I think Steve Keim, they have a lot of talent on their team. They're not. I don't view them as some like loser franchise, but that's, I thought, kind of a loser move. I thought it was an unneeded move. Well, he would he's not going to show up. Well, then you'd learn everything you need to know. He's going to show up to training camp and pout. Well, then you're going to learn everything you need to know. That's not the type of guy you want. Because what do they tell you? That your true colors and who you really are actually usually exposed with money. Once I pay you, the true self comes out. I would be a little nervous if everyone involved with the Arizona Cardinals. And I get back to over and over, what was the rush? I'm not disputing if he won the MVP this year, it goes up a little bit. Who cares? At least then you know. When the Chiefs gave Mahomes all that money, he had won the MVP and he led him to a Super Bowl. That had happened. When Matt Stafford just got a huge extension, they won a Super Bowl with him as their quarterback. When Aaron Rodgers got $150 million, he was back-to-back MVP. Gets along with the coach. This guy just got again, I don't truly know the money. Time will tell when you're listening to this. Have the worst playoff game we've ever seen and was pretty terrible down the stretch. And the previous year, when they looked like a lock to make the playoffs, they missed the playoffs. And here's the other element. from just a true football standpoint, he's small. And being small doesn't dictate your success or not. We've seen small players go to the Hall of Fame, be great players. Russell Wilson's a great example. Hall of Fame level quarterback. Russell Wilson is built completely different. Now we can argue he got a little big this offseason, but Russell's naturally thick. And he's been healthy. The first time that Matt Finger, whatever, was the first injury, we went, God, there's a chink in Russell's armor, right? He's injured, and he missed a couple games. Kyler now has been hurt back-to-back seasons. 2 years ago, it was the Seattle game. He got slammed. Never the same. Last year, he got banged up, missed some games, right? Colt McCoy came in. They actually lit up the Niners. But, he's been hurt now. Well, it's not that crazy. He's a small little player. So you're going all in. And listen, you do when you draft a guy number 1 overall. But part of drafting them in the first round is having the fifth-year option and having some time. And the Cardinals just felt like, Kyler's going to show up and be very angry and be mad and pouty? Wouldn't that be a reflection of who this guy is? Wouldn't that kind of show his true colors then? Why wouldn't you just let it play out a little bit? Hell, maybe even let it play out into the season. Be like, listen, you start fast, you're having a good season, we'll extend you in the middle of October. You had to do it July 21st? I don't understand it. I mean, again, and I root for people to get paid. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me, Kyler Murray, contract, whatever. Get as much money as you can. But we're talking the business of football, where there's a salary cap, and how much you get paid impacts the success of your team. And in football, teams matter. They're the health of the league. And some teams run their business well. Some teams do not. And we have, a couple years ago, the Rams were kind of feeling themselves. They extended 2 guys really early, and it heavily backfired. Todd Gurley, Jared Goff. Now, I'm not comparing Kyler to Jared Goff. He's much more talented. Now, I'm not comparing, obviously, Todd plays a different position. But immediately, we realized those were bad contracts. And I have this whole situation red flagged. I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think he's a sustainable player. I could be proven wrong. If I was the Arizona Cardinals, I would have let him prove me wrong. Thanks for watching 3 and Out. You can check out the podcast below in the description. And make sure you subscribe right now to the Volumes YouTube channel.